Hi and welcome to Stories and Stuff. This video is about questions and about different ways you can teach it and the kind of misconceptions that you have to deal with when you're teaching Year 2s all about questions. Quite often when you hear people explaining what a question is, they explain to children that a question has a question mark at the end. And that's not overly helpful really, because you can stick a question mark at the end of any old sentence and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a question. The other problem with that is you can't see a question mark at the end of a question when someone asks it verbally. So children really need to understand some key points about a question before they can start really understanding and using them themselves. The main point of a question is it's asking something that needs an answer. A question is a type of sentence and it needs punctuation at the end just like any other sentence. And finally, a sentence, when it's written down, is punctuated by a special kind of full stop. It's called a question mark. Some of the misconceptions that you deal with questions is you turn something into a question simply by putting a question mark at the end of it. That can work in some situations. So if you have a look at the following. Yes. Yes? That question mark changes the meaning just of that one word. Does infer you're asking a full question sentence. So for example, if you said, you got chosen to be on the school team. Yes? Yes really infers, did I really get chosen to go on the school team? Another misconception is about asking something that needs an answer. For example, my name is Bob. That's not a question because it doesn't need an answer, but children will often confuse that with a conversation. So my name is Bob. Oh, my name is Tim. And they confuse that conversation with being a question and an answer. One of the things about a written question is you need a question mark, and it's really important to secure children's understanding of a question mark. A question mark doesn't just show it's an end of a question, it shows it's the end of a question sentence. So the squiggle bit at the top shows it's a question and the dot at the bottom shows it's a full stop, and that full stop follows the rules. It goes at the end of a sentence, at the end of an idea, and whatever comes after it is the start of a new idea, so that needs a capital letter. This is what we do in my class. A question is a type of sentence that needs an answer. So the question is the question, top of the question mark bit. When we mention the sentence, it's got that full stop, which is what all sentences have at the end, and it needs an answer. And that's what's special about a question sentence. So a question is a type of sentence that needs an answer. And we repeat that over and over and over again and get the children to keep explaining it to each other or to me, or I give them a wrong explanation and get them to correct it until they're really confident in explaining what a question is. First of all, I would do a sorting activity and they have to sort them into questions and not questions. I wouldn't be talking about statements at the moment unless you've covered that already. I would wait till they were really secure with questions before I then taught statements. If you have a look at the examples here, we've got 3 sentences. My name is Bob. It's Tuesday. What time is it? If you have a look at my name is Bob, it's a piece of information. It's not asking anything. It does not need an answer. If you have a look at the next sentence, it's Tuesday. It's a piece of information. It's not asking anything, and it doesn't need an answer. So those 2 sentences can have a normal full stop at the end. If you have a look at the third one, what time is it? It is asking something that needs an answer. Therefore, it is a question. I would get the children to work in pairs and read the sentence and see if it needs a response, if it needs an answer. And remember, it's not about having a conversation, it's about, is this really asking something? I do a whole lesson where children have a question template and they practice writing a question with a capital letter, because they often forget that, and then they swap it with a partner, and the partner has to answer the question, remembering to write the answer in a full sentence with a capital letter at the beginning and full stop at the end. It's also a great way to secure the spelling of some of those common exception words in Year 2 that can be used at the start of questions. I also like to do a lesson about impossible questions. This is just a bit of fun really, but a good opportunity to develop speech and language and reasoning skills. There's a great book called What's the Opposite of Pizza? And it's quite challenging actually for Year 2. I don't generally read the whole book, but they do love the beginning where the book actually tries to answer the question, what's the opposite of pizza? And the children really enjoy this because with a lot of the questions there's no right or wrong answer. As long as you can justify your answer, then it's right. These are some of the questions I've used with children before. Some of them are trick ones, like the ton of feathers and ton of bricks. And some of the answers have been great. So one child said, well, the colour of Tuesday must be orange because there's 7 days of the week, there's 7 colours of the rainbow. Tuesday's the second day, so it's orange. Would never have thought about that. Then I challenged the children to make up their own really impossible questions. And some of those were really good too. Things like, how old is old? So that was a really fun lesson. Another resource that I use for teaching questions is this book here. It's called Little Answer by Tim Hopgood. And there's a link in the description below to me actually reading that book. But the premise is there's an answer, sausages, that's lost and cannot find the matching question. We had lots of fun trying to come up with what the possible questions could be. Some children got it straight away and were able to generate lots of different questions. So then the challenge for them was, well, can you ask a question where this is the answer, but you're using different question words, not just what or why. So changing the format of the question. The children that struggled with it, so for example, if they had the word chair, they might say, when do you sit on a chair? And obviously the answer isn't chair. To support that, we looked at what facts do you know about that answer. So for a chair, I know that you can sit on it. So we can turn that piece of information into a question. What do you sit on? A chair. And then when I've done a week just purely on questions and making sure children are secure with what a question is, then I start to bring it into non-fiction. And we have did you know questions to introduce really interesting facts. When I'm doing non-fiction, I do at least one lesson on gossipy questions. And gossipy questions is that kind of, oh, did you know? Or guess what? And we do a real kind of gossipy, oh, you won't believe what I found out. And I use that to teach questions as part of non-fiction. So for example, we're doing dinosaurs at the moment, and you would pick out the most interesting fact that you've learnt about your dinosaur and start that with, did you know? Question mark. And then you do your fact with a capital letter at the start of it. So there are some ideas all about questions. I hope it's been useful. Subscribe for more ideas soon.